Bada bing, bada boom. There's our 30 seconds. Happy Tuesday. Good evening, y'all. Hello, Q. Hello, Joel Swain, aka Flyboy Kane, whoever is going to grace us with their presence later on this evening. And anybody who is already watching us, welcome to Free Thinkers. For those of y'all that tune in later, welcome to Free Thinkers. It is Tuesday night. So thank you for joining us. Really quick, we won't take a whole lot of time to explain, how we do this, what are we doing, what do we do. So we just have adult conversation every Tuesday night. We pick topics sometimes, or we freestyle topics sometimes based off of posts that are on our Facebook group page. That's actually what we're going to do tonight. So when you see pick a post, when you see freestyle, that's what that is. We're just going through the post or through the page, and we're picking posts on there. So there could be a variety of topics. It's whatever. So there really isn't a topic for the evening. Again, adult content. So certainly we always put that disclaimer out there. This is probably not something you necessarily want your children to listen to. It's totally up to you, but all of our episodes are adult content. We are trying to normalize conversations. And oftentimes in the topics and the conversations that we have, people get passionate about that. So feelings come out, emotions come out, and so do cuss words. So if that is an issue for you, then this might not be the show for you. However, if you can look past that, we got a pretty good group of folks in here who have these conversations with us. So every Tuesday, 8:05 live. We generally go till 9:30. On occasion, we'll go till 10 o'clock if the conversation is just moving like that and people are willing to stay late. But generally, we're out of here by 9:30. How to find us. If you want to get involved in tonight's conversation and be on the panel with us, then you need to, like we tell you every week, join both pages. Join our Facebook page and join our YouTube channel. On the Facebook page, every week, towards the top of the page, tonight it's pinned towards the top of the page, there is an invite. And in there is the StreamYard link. There's also a second post, should be close to the top of the page, looks just like the invite. It's also in the body of the post. So if you got Q's at everybody tag and you're like, what the heck, which I think is so cool, there is a StreamYard link in there as well. If you're not interested in getting on here live with us, you can join us live chat in either our YouTube video or on our Facebook video. And those comments should appear on our comment screen, and we can discuss what you're talking about. We share what you're talking about in our live chat. So a couple of different ways to engage with us. And of course, please always share. If you're watching right now, hit the share button. If you're watching us tomorrow, hit the share button. Whenever you're watching us, please hit the share button and invite people to our channel. Join us, though. That's what we really want. We want you to come on here and engage in conversation with us. We want you to be a part of the conversations that we have on the message board. Some people only participate on the Facebook channel or on the Facebook page, and that's cool too. We use all of that for conversation and point of views and perspectives. So thank you to everybody who joins us, who supports us, who shares us, who watches us, who chats with us, who tells people about us, who is a part of the family already. We're trying to grow. That's our goal. So your support certainly means all of that. So without further ado, did I forget anything, Q? I'm going to look real quick to make sure this is on my page because I am not in jail today. So I am so happy that I can post and be public and talk and, and I have no issues with this video tonight. Yay, it's on my page and it's totally public, so all comments should appear. Did I forget anything? Anything you need to mention that I forgot?
No.
All right, cool. So I'm not sure. We got somebody on pause right now, but
come in when they come in.
Yeah, you and I
want to go with it. Listen.
So I mean, there was actually quite a few posts. So ironically, after I was like, I haven't posted a whole bunch. I don't know what's in there. I was like, let me go back and look.
I haven't looked a lot either, honestly.
I did like the one about tipping. I don't know if you want to, have that conversation when there's more people involved, but the tipping one was really interesting to me. The signs of a real man, the video that was in there, the guy who was talking about being a real man. This is what real men do. There's
All
of
right,
course.
whichever one you want to go for, you can go for whichever one. I'm with it.
Well, then of course there's the Tiffany Haddish, Aries Spears,
That too.
updates.
I definitely got an opinion about that too, but
Well, where do you want to start? Because I can go anywhere.
okay. Well, let's start with the Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears.
Okay. So should we catch people up, or should we just assume people know what this is?
Yeah, they should know. If not,
all right. So you know what the recent developments are, yes?
I heard something about okay, so maybe I don't, but I just saw something. I glanced at it saying that they dropped some type of charges, which I didn't know that there was a charge.
Okay.
So that's the last thing that I saw, which is okay. Let me say something. This is stupid crazy to me.
Which part?
The whole thing that they should be put up on charges, that they should be. Let me go take a bigger step back. This is what I believe, principle wise. I am a strong advocate for comedy. I am. I think I've been saying this for the last probably 2 years. I think that's one of the last mediums that has not been smothered with censorship.
Right.
Even I heard Patrice O'Neal say a while back, you have to give the comedian the freedom to make the attempt.
Okay.
They made an attempt. They failed miserably. It wasn't funny. It was weird. I'm sure they'll never do it again. It was just there was nothing good about it. It was just weird all the way around. And on a side note, maybe because Aries Spears looked kind of creepy anyway, it kind of gave more validity to
the fact that he was real pedo-y in that.
Yeah, I think he something about him had I ain't gonna say give off some type of vibes, but he has a certain look about him already. But they made an attempt, and the attempt failed, bombed miserably. That is something totally different than charges. You trying to put somebody on. What were the charges? Is it pedophilia charges or like?
I honestly don't. I didn't know. I didn't know that there was legal charges pending. I thought that there was like an investigation into details, but I didn't know that legal charges. And maybe they didn't. Maybe that didn't mean legal charges. Maybe that meant just dismissing the pursuant of criminal charges or something. But that's stupid. I don't think that I don't know that there were charges. If anybody knows, type in the chat, let us know. But I didn't think that it had gotten that far. I thought it literally just came out, and now, social media and society was going to do, their investigative work. But I never heard of any law enforcement being involved as of that point. So I don't know if that was just them dropping it on behalf of going after her, because that's all they spoke about was her, not him.
I've been hearing about him too.
Well, in terms of being dismissed today, in terms of them losing interest today.
So, in all honesty, I really feel like I don't know how much longer. I'm certain that my time on social media has a lifespan, and I think I'm closer towards the end of that lifespan.
You mean because you're going to pull away, or
yes.
Okay.
Because so it's going to come to a point to where I'm just completely disinterested. Because I don't think people, we're so sheepish, we're such followers. Now I don't know if I did this on our page or another page. I just posted I posted a little GIF with the guy Herbert from Family Guy.
That was on ours.
he's been on Family Guy for the last 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a terrible. He's like, those are some of the worst jokes, is him being a pedophile, the little old man. Um, everybody's favorite, Dave Chappelle. See, they
Okay.
got so caught up in the LGBTQ stuff. He said some terrible molestation jokes. And not only he said it in several specials that he's done, talking about Michael Jackson, talking about just molestation altogether, and I mean, and pedophiles and stuff like that. And I'm not going to try to tell the joke or get into it, but if you've seen it, he's done it on several specials. But if it's funny, then it's forgiven. See, we pick and choose what we want to laugh at. Number one, and number two is one of those things to where I think they really messed up as far as having a child. They shouldn't have had an actual child there.
Of course, so that's what makes that's where the term went absolutely wrong.
But that's where it
went absolutely wrong, in my opinion.
Even if it wasn't, I still don't think it would have been funny. It just wasn't. It wasn't a funny bit.
No, it wasn't funny. So that for me is even more problematic.
You don't persecute people because it's not funny.
You do when they willingly participated in the creation of, whether it was funny or not. They willingly participated in that and did not say for 1 second, like, this is not a good idea.
People who do sketch comedy, for every, depending on how good you are, for every hit, there's a miss or 2 or 3 misses or things that didn't turn out funny, or
I understand funny and some jokes are dumb. Some jokes fall flat. Some jokes are just totally punchline was missed. This was none of those things. None of this was funny. None of this could have been funny. There was no way that could have been funny to me. By way of using a child in that manner and like exploiting the child and making the child be an object of sexual desire. Like, nothing about that could have ever been funny.
See, but here's the hypocrisy. We can say it all day, but we just can't. When there's a visual to it, then we have a different level of outrage. It's the same thing with there's been lots of assault cases in sports and entertainment, and sometimes people get a slap on the wrist, sometimes a little bit harsher. But when Ray Rice hit his wife, the fact that it was on video and that we saw it, then that changes it. Why do we have to visibly see something in order for us to have a different level of outrage?
Because it taps into another part of your senses if you have them. It's easy for people to turn think about all the things that have taken place in the last handful of years that not in my backyard mentality, So even something as simple as reading about it is not the same as seeing a video of it, is not the same thing as a picture of it. Like it brings more reality to something when you have video or audio or picture of something taking place versus just a written transcription of what took place.
But it's a form of enabling when you don't take the same seriousness of a verbal accusation as you do something that's visual.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. I mean,
I'm just speaking to the hypocrisy of it. And let me take this a step further. One of the reasons why I say I can't deal with this is because I ain't gonna say I can't. I'm gonna choose not to deal with it sooner.
Right.
I could deal with it, but I'm gonna choose not to.
Right. Stokely better get in here.
Our focus is so twisted when it comes to, we will focus on a sketch and a bit, and we will be so outraged. Whereas I remember even R. Kelly, he said, in which he was probably the last person that needed to say it, but it was still truth to it. Even when he was doing an interview with Gayle King, he said, "Y'all coming after me, but it's girls out there being snatched for real." Right. We get so focused on the spotlight, the Hollywood spotlight. We rather put our attention on Hollywood actors and people who are doing a skit, and we'll be 20 times more outraged at a skit than the things that actually happen in real life. And nobody, or very few people, such a small percent, is actually, are actually willing to highlight those injustices, the sex trafficking, the child trafficking, all of this stuff that really go, and we know it goes on, but we'll focus all our attention on this. It's pure hip, and once this story goes away, 98% of people are gonna stop talking about the real stuff that actually happens.
That's most humans. Most people are like that in their day-to-day life.
But that's just why I'm saying I can't deal with people, because the outrage is so fake. It's so fake.
I don't know if outrage is fake, but I definitely think that I think that their intention is whack, to be completely honest. Because just like you said, there's very few people who will be about that shit on a level playing field. I am proud to say I'm definitely one of those people who's about that shit when it comes to all things. So for people who to be about that shit, it is a little offensive, and it is a slap in the face, and it is a little bit you look kind of weak, right? To somebody who has decided that I'm not just going to pick and choose what I, am mad about. I'm not just going to pick and choose what I put my support behind, or what rights I think are important for humans to have. Like you either are or you aren't. So the problem with change is that there's too many people who have their heads stuck in the sand. Period. And so for that point, yes, I can see why selective outrage is definitely used, but I think it's worse than selective outrage. These are people who are either in denial, or they really just don't care. They really don't care. And they find topics that are sensitive to them, and that's the only thing that matters.
And it also shows me just such a level of people who are brainwashed as well.
Sure, absolutely. Some people can't think for themselves to save their life.
I lose interest. But then the same people, they got an opinion about everything.
They always have an opinion. So that's their downfall. That's what makes them the problem.
I make it a point not to have a super strong opinion, especially about things that I am not either I don't specialize in, I don't do a lot of homework in, or
that's the way it's supposed to be.
I'm not invested in. So I'll give you maybe you, but even like Cynthia, like Stacey Shay, like your boy Chevis. I know these are people who really do their homework when it comes to activism and community work and stuff like that. That's why you don't see me doing a whole lot of talking about that stuff. I'm not going to get on a pedestal having strong opinions about things that, number one, I know some, but I don't know as much. But then number two, it's almost spitting in the face of those who really live that life for real, for me to just jump in and give a strong opinion, knowing I'm not going to be down there at the rallies.
Absolutely.
Knowing I'm not going to be putting in the footwork for real. That's disingenuous. And that's what I see people do all the time. And I get weary of it.
Well, because I don't know if maybe this is something that you identify that with, but for me, it becomes very disappointing. It becomes totally disappointing that this is the reality, that this is who the majority of our peers are. The majority of society consists of people who are these fair weather people, who are these not in my backyard people, who are these, it's not my problem, so it must not be happening. Like I and this is totally not related, but an example of, like, I just saw somebody post the other day about the whole Little Mermaid shit, right? And this girl had posted about, her disappointment about people's response. And this guy responded to her saying,
by the way, but keep going.
Well, this guy responded to her saying, I've not seen one single person complain about this. Just because you haven't seen one single person complain about this doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But so all too often, you've got people, like you said, who are trying to put their fucking head in somewhere and don't belong, who are inserting themselves into conversations and situations that you really don't have a position to be in here. You've done no work. You've done no research. You really don't know what you're talking about. You just have a fucking opinion based on how you feel. And honestly, that's not really relevant because you didn't do your homework. And there's an option to do your homework. You just choose not to.
So let me ask, what do you think should happen to Aries Spears and Tiffany Haddish?
For me, And
Yeah,
thankfully for me, I honestly was not a fan of either of them terribly. Like, she was funnier just because I wanted a woman comedian to like excel, but she's not terribly funny. I get tired easily with comedian shticks. So me not watching her is not going to make me sad at all. And I don't like Aries Spears, actually. I don't like him as a person. I think all of his comedy is actually, I don't like him. So for me, they're out of there. I'm not going to support anything that they do. And I think
Okay,
that
so you're not supporting, but do you think there should have been investigation and charges?
absolutely. I think they all should have been investigated, including the woman who let her child do this. Absolutely. There's enough blame to go around, except for that kid. Everybody should be responsible for something except that child, and that child is the only person who's potentially responsible right now and responsible for whatever fucking emotional trauma that this kid is having to deal with. And it's nobody's position to gauge whether or not this kid is or is not having some issues related to this grown-up adult situation that all these adults agreed to participate in. And for
So let
that,
me ask,
they need to be responsible.
if they did the setting at a public pool and he was in the Speedos the same way, would you have the same reaction?
Yes, because ultimately he lusted for a little boy, and in turn, the little boy returned that with his own lust. And the message was, watch who you leave your kids with. That is not the way to get that message across. And
well, it is a good message, right?
no.
It is a good message. Watch who you leave your kids with.
Okay. The message of watch who you leave your kids with is relevant.
That
yes,
is a good
absolutely.
But
If that's the way the message is portrayed, no. And
so
that's
you just
nothing about that was okay.
The poor skit. You can't get past the poor skit.
It wasn't even a poor skit. It was disgusting. It involved a man lusting for a child and then a child returning that lust for a man. Like, he groomed this kid. So nothing about that was okay.
Said the same thing in his stand-up The Closer. What was it?
I've watched that Closer. I don't think there's
a
pedophile show.
No, not The Closer.
Okay.
Sticks and Stones, the one before that, where he was talking about Michael Jackson, and he talked about, hey, I think that was I
remember part of that joke, but I don't remember it verbatim.
The same thing that happened to all of y'all. Y'all got to have all these awkward Thanksgiving, but you didn't get molested by Michael Jackson. At least he got a superstar. So he said the same thing, and he talked about the boy was boasting, going back to school. Guess what happened? I went to Michael Jackson's house, and people laughed about it. People cringed, but they still laughed about it. He said the same thing, but in a I can't even say palatable way. It was harsh, but
I'll have to go back and rewatch that.
Laughed. I'll send it to you. And not only that, I'll give you another one when he was in San Francisco, when he did stand up about 10 years ago. He did another joke about that with Michael Jackson and stuff like that.
I mean, I also believe that Michael Jackson molested children, but I also believe that Michael Jackson was molested as a child. I mean, that doesn't make one better than the other. I don't dispute the fact that our king of pop molested children to some form of fashion.
The point is not about
however, the joke would have been inappropriate.
Okay,
the joke would have been inappropriate depending on the context.
Are you canceling Dave Chappelle? Are you canceling Dave Chappelle?
I have to listen to the joke first. I haven't listened to the joke first. I really do not remember what he said. I remember conversation about it, but I don't remember what was said. And if that's the case, and I feel the same way that I feel about what I felt about this with Aries Spears, or what I felt with R. Kelly.
He did a recurring joke with Bill Cosby about he saves, but he rapes, but he saves more than he rapes, but he also rapes. And he made a joke about rape. That's not funny, but he had an ongoing joke about that for the entire show.
No, it would not be okay, Joe. There's just and comedy does get a pretty heavy pass that most things don't, but I do think that there are some things that are just not funny to joke about. Molestation and rape would certainly be two of those things. Child molestation.
So you'd have to cancel Dave Chappelle.
Well, so I have to go back and listen to some of his pedo jokes. If that's
send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you.
Maybe Stokely's familiar with the stand-up. Maybe Stokely's got some feedback, because I wish I would have listened to these jokes before we had this conversation, but I don't know them. I don't want to speak on something I don't know, right? We just talked about this. But I will once I watch these damn videos, best believe.
I don't know anything about the Aries Spears and the Tiffany Haddish situation. I heard about it, but I didn't delve into it or anything like that. So I don't know.
Ah,
So I'm sitting back here listening to y'all. But yeah, I think I will say this though. Doing comedy, you do get some passes on some stuff. Rape and molestation and all that. Not my thing. You know, but people joke about death. Death to some people just ain't funny. You know, it don't matter how you slice it. You know, because you could have somebody in the crowd that just lost somebody, and now you're touching them. So you have to be real, real careful. But again, you know, doing jokes and standing up on a stage and looking out, you don't know what the hell's going on in people's lives at that particular moment. But yeah, I'm gonna have to catch up on the Ari Spears and the Tiffany Haddish thing. I've heard chatter about it, but I haven't paid really any attention to it. So
okay, so let me ask you, let me dig down a little bit deeper, Stokely. Do you believe that I know you talked about rape and molestation a little bit do you believe there's something there's a topic that should be absolutely off limits when it comes to comedy?
You know what? Me personally, molestation is probably, and rape are probably the two. Those are hard. I mean, I've had, you know, women say, you know, ain't nothing funny about a rape joke. You know, you'll lose the whole crowd like that.
yeah.
You know? And it's not just about that individual person, but you know, when you think about it, every single one of us knows someone who has been raped in their life, which is, you know, kind of crazy, but it's facts. So yeah, you'll lose a whole crowd with the rape and molestation type stuff. Death, you can kind of get away with sometimes because you can bring light to life and you know, kind of say, hey, we're all going to go through it, you know. But yeah, rape and molestation, those are tough ones.
See, for me, I don't think there's anything that should be out of bounds. Yeah. There's nothing that should be out of bounds when it comes to comedy.
Those two are, and
so that's the same thing as saying,
why would we need to joke about rape or sexual child molestation, sexual molestation? Why would someone joke about that?
But I don't know, but I don't think it should be out of bounds. So in the same breath,
that's gonna be a hell of a comic.
Nikki and Stokely, do you believe on Free Thinkers there's any subject that we should not touch?
I'll say no, and that's off the rip. And I say this, and the reason I say this is because I think all of us are having a discussion where that all of us can interject in that discussion and that topic, opposed to if someone is joking about a subject such as rape, everybody's not included in that conversation or that joke. And that, I feel like, being here in this setting, we should be able to talk about we should be able to talk about everything.
Okay, so Free Thinkers, open discussion, dialogue, debate, yes, but comedy, no. Why would comedy be excluded from that?
Like I said, I mean, when you're on stage, it's not a conversation. Okay. It's not. You don't have anybody that can rebut what's being said. Right. You just got to sit there and grind it out and take it.
No.
Here, you can get heckled and thrown out the club and embarrassed.
Or you can just get up and leave.
You could. You absolutely
already know the person and their material. You can choose not to come in first.
That's different.
True. And that's true. I mean, that's where your responsibility comes into play when, you know what I'm saying, in this situation.
Right. So that's the difference in my opinion, is that if I'm sitting out there and you know, rape and sexual assault and molestation is you know being talked about, and someone next to me has gone through that, then I'm going to feel some type of way for that person, and I know that we're unable to sit there and have that conversation. You know, comedy, unless you're asking for crowd participation, comedy is it's a monologue. I mean, you're really doing material that is just being thrown out at people for their response to laugh, not to converse, not to, you know, talk about it, unless you're asking for that, you know, that feedback, crowd participation.
Okay. Nikki?
Let's go with Joel. I'm curious to hear what our first timer with the newbie to the live has to say. I hope you've been following us. What are your thoughts?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're asking me what's my thoughts as far as should it be out of bounds as far as with comedy and stuff like that?
Well, first of all, what do you think about the Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears thing, and then kind of go into what you think about the aspect of comedy overall?
That's why I really didn't chime in on the Tiffany Haddish, because I don't really know the whole full story with that. What happened with Tiffany Haddish? I just saw that they came to some type of settlement or something, or it's not going to go through. But I don't know to the extent of what she has done or what everybody's on her.
So you didn't see that skit? You didn't see the skit that they did?
I didn't either.
Okay. Well, you can skip that, man. You can skip that. Well, we can. Okay, so let's touch on the part as far as do you believe that there's something that should be off limits as far as what we can and can't talk about
in comedy?
In comedy,
yeah. Let's go comedy.
No, I don't think there should be any out of bounds. I think to an extent, a lot of people are just really sensitive. I know when me coming up, it's like the people weren't as sensitive. Like people would crack on each other. People would, even when it goes to the extreme of bullying and stuff, like we all went through it coming up. But now it's like a whole big ordeal. And I think people are getting kind of soft or getting too sensitive, because even if people don't talk about it like in comedy, people are going to, talk about it in general. I just think people just shouldn't be so sensitive about certain topics. But I can understand, like you were saying about, child molestation, especially if you've been through those things or rape, then those would be kind of hard to listen to or kind of sit. But like old boy said, if you have to know the comedian and what kind of comedy he comes with. So it's really your option if you can come and tune in or not.
Yeah. I agree.
There's a lot of I was getting ready to say there's a lot of comedians in the UK, and I listening to them, it's not my thing, because a lot of them use a lot of racial things, racial slurs, not only to Black people but Indian people in general. I'm like, God damn.
Wow.
Yeah. So to me, if I know going in, now I'll listen to some of the material. I listen to Sirius Radio, and they got like 50,000 comedy stations on that joint. And it's like, damn. But I know that it's comedy, and I wouldn't even say that race is out of bounds. Now, we'll say this: Black people can get a pass on a whole lot of racial shit when you're doing comedy opposed to white folk on stage. That is a fact.
You said Black people get
that's one of the things, Nikki. When we were talking about flip the script.
Yeah, we get away with saying
that's one of the things I meant to talk about.
We can say some shit on stage,
right? Racial
shit, and that white folks better not say.
That's just kind of close to the territory. Like that's like just the unwritten rule. White people, y'all just some shit we can't say. Like period.
White folk get to say anything else they think. And
right.
It's true.
You can sometimes, just because you can't. Certain words you can't say. Go ahead, Joel. Is it Joel or Joel? I'm sorry.
Joel.
It's Joel.
Joel.
But I think that's kind of unfair too, because I was talking to a friend the other day, and we all have like them jokes, like certain cultures do certain things, or we'll be like, oh, that's white people stuff. But at the same time, a Black person would get offended if they'd be like, that's Black people stuff, even if it is something Black people do. Some Black people would get they can dish it out, but they can't take it. So that's something I don't kind of like.
And the rule is the unfair rule is the minority always gets away with more. So whether you are the physical minority, you're the financial minority, you're the minority in the power structure, you get away. Same women get the ish on men way more and get away with it with with less consequence than men who say stuff openly about women. It just don't go. But if they're perceived to be lower on the totem pole as far as from a power structure standpoint, that's just what it is.
Well, in case a woman is cracking on another woman, then they kind of take it a little bit better if it's a woman cracking on another woman versus a man cracking on a woman.
Or if it's a woman,
or just women cracking on men,
on the men.
Yeah.
versus men cracking on women. Yeah.
But
well, it's kind of like the reverse role, right? Like two women can call each other a bitch, but a man better not call a woman a bitch.
You better not.
Well, yeah, two women can call each other a bitch, but I get offended if you call me a bitch. Like I get offended.
Right.
Well, it's different for a dude because we just know what he's really saying when he call you a bitch. We know what they say.
You know what? When I first moved down here, I almost got in a fight with my friend because it was I wasn't used to. Where I grew up, I definitely wasn't used to that. That's automatically. If you wanted to get in a fight with somebody, then call them a bitch. Then at that point, it's like double dog there. The moment you say that, then you gotta fight them.
Yeah.
But in Texas, with friends, from my experience, it's a little bit looser.
A lot looser. You know, a lot looser.
And I was saying something to my homeboy, like, bitch, get the fuck out of here. And I was like,
hold up. Where you from originally? Where you from originally?
Illinois.
Okay, yeah. So it's
like, I was ready to fight, and he looking at me like, what's wrong with you?
I don't know if y'all saw the clip of Hitachi Coates when he was talking to the crowd, and the girl stood up. She says she likes rap music, and they use the N-word in the songs and all that. And she asked the question, why can't we say the N-word? And he told her, straight up, he was like, you can say it. I mean, there are consequences, but he also let her know that, look, I have a wife. My wife has sorority sisters, and they be like, bitch, you tripping.
The best explanation that I've ever heard. That was the best.
That was excellent. And it was proper. Mm-hmm. So, I know that I can't go in there and say the same thing.
He's like, the bigger question is, why do you want
to say it? Yes.
He was like, he said, my wife and my girlfriends, he said, I don't have a desire to jump in and say it. I don't have that's the thing. I don't have a desire to jump in there. So the question
excellent
is,
explanation.
That's a great point.
Desire to jump in and say something that's not a part of, yeah.
Ooh, that's a great point.
So,
I don't think I saw that. I definitely didn't see that.
I got it in my thread somewhere. I'll pull it up.
That's excellent. That was probably the best explanation. He said, my dad's name is Bob, but I ain't calling him Bob. It was just kind of. But he let her know it's real, and she sat her ass down,
That's a great question. Why do you want to say it? Like,
why? What makes you want to say it? What?
You really want to, don't you? No, Wow, that's interesting.
And
I don't know. I do not have an issue.
Down off of that.
So one of the things, Q, that I thought about last week when we talked about role reversal, exactly with Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears, is regardless of whether you think it was or wasn't wrong, he is getting far more flack than she is. Even like Corey Holcomb went off on Aries Spears, but definitely gave Tiffany a pass. And I understand that they're friends, but like he caped for her the whole fucking interview. In this settlement, the settlement was only reached with Tiffany. Nothing was said about Aries. Like the family of the son is only talking about how, Tiffany would never really hurt our son. Woo, 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 like we're dropping everything. But so, even in the case for me, where I think they were both absolutely wrong and both should be, accountable for something. The press, everyone's going after him. They're not going after her. And that's what we talked about last week, was female sexual predators versus male sexual predators, and how it's totally okay for women to really be predators, but it's definitely not okay for men to be predators. And you see that like happening right now with the two of them in this simultaneous thing happening for both of them.
Well, I think people just don't like Aries Spears more. He just got done saying something about Lizzo, and he's a traditional New York comic, and in general, they rub people the wrong way often. And people just don't like him a lot of times.
Some dude on Power 97 whooped him. I mean, he kept talking. Aries Spears don't know when to shut up.
No, that was on the 5150 show. That was Corey Holcomb and his friend. And that
was
a couple years ago. That was probably a couple years ago.
But it made me think, like, this cat just don't know when to shut up.
And he don't. He's like I said, I've never been an Aries Spears fan. Like I'm not a fan of his comedy. He is one of those people who is like, were you just crummy growing up and you decided to be a crummy fucking person with a mic in your hand and like take your crumminess and wrap it into comedy and make it seem like it's really funny and like, do only crummy people like you? I don't know, because he's not that damn funny to me.
Well, he's good at impressions. That's one of the
he's good. He got
Sure.
a good Jay-Z.
I'll give him that.
There's certain things.
But even he said recently, he was on an interview. I don't remember who the interview was with, but I caught it on YouTube last week or the week before, and he was like, essentially all but crying, saying he knows his career is over. Like, wow. It's pretty high probability that his career is over. So I mean, that's fine, right? I have no problem with his career being canceled. In this particular incident with this video, there's no fucking way that you could justify this as comedy to me. But at the same time, I have the same pressure for Tiffany. And the same smoke that I'm giving to Aries is the same smoke I give to Tiffany. If this shit cancel her career, well, there's some decisions that you make that you will have to pay for the rest of your life.
I want to see if you cancel Dave Chappelle. I'm gonna send you a bunch of
send them to me.
Send you a bunch of cancel words.
Send them to me. Send them to me. You know, but there's a very fine line that you have to push for me, and those two issues are not it. So I'd be curious to see what happens with him, since she's obviously written a check and got this to go away for a little while, or how she fares in Hollywood, you know, from this point forward.
I think she's been unraveling for a while already. She got put on a pedestal. Like, she blew up way too fast, and her ability didn't warrant her.
I don't think she's that funny, but you know,
I think what she should have. Somebody said this. What she should have did, because she doesn't have a lot either of time or experience as a stand-up comedian. That part she should have just slowly worked on it, but then they tried to throw her in front of big arenas, in front of a whole bunch of people, and she bombed in front of, like, she blew up real big. She should have really just stuck to movies. She's actually pretty funny in movies. She
right,
should
as an actress,
stay in the movie lane and just get away from the stand-up comedy thing, because it takes a lot of work to kind of know how to work a room in a live performance. And right now she's not there, and that it's hard to get there now when you have so many eyes on you. Like, she's catapulted above Wanda Sykes,
right,
above like a lot of comedians who are clearly better than she are,
right?
Like female comedians clearly better than she, but she's been catapulted in front of them, and she's just not ready for it.
Yeah, you know, I would agree with that.
Another point, I guess I was just thinking about, you know, in terms of smoke going for the same people, is for those people who may be listening to you ask these questions, Q, you know, are you going to cancel Tiffany? Are you going to cancel Aries? For people who might be like, yeah, team cancel. Okay, are you going to also cancel Disney? Are you going to also cancel anything that,
right?
Are you no longer playing R. Kelly? Are you no longer supporting Bill Cosby if you feel like Bill Cosby was involved? Are there other people, you know, are you demanding that we see Ghislaine Maxwell's fucking client list with Jeffrey Epstein? Like, are you going everywhere with your rage? So I guess this goes back to your point of selective outrage. Like, yeah, you want to put some of these people on blast, but do you want justice to be for all victims or just some victims? Because, you know, then you take into consideration that here we do again have two, we'll say, prominent Black comedians and comedians and actresses who are, you know, on this fucking chopping block. I'm not giving them any pass for what the video consisted of, but what about other non-Black comedians or artists or anybody in Hollywood and the improper scenarios that they've been in, situations they've been in that nobody says shit about? Are you canceling them too, or are you just canceling this because everybody else is right now? And that is the bigger part of the problem, is people who do pick what they are and are not going to
That's why I listen to people.
Yeah, pissed off about and passionate about. But for anybody who's sitting here listening to this, that's who I'm talking to, is you. You can't pick and choose what you do and don't want to be mad about. Or if you do, just don't fucking say anything, because you're not helping the bigger picture.
Well, let me say this. You can, but it's out of your own personal preference. I get the thing I kind of, people lose me on is when they say they're doing it off of a principle. Because if you are doing it off of a principle, then if that's the case, then you also got to cancel this, that, and the third.
It applies to all.
So for me, I don't do that canceling stuff, and I don't use the term cancel. But if I don't rock with something, then I was like, nah, I don't rock with that. That ain't what I do.
Right.
And I ain't gonna sit there and put these posts up and try to put banners up telling everybody else why they should. How could you listen to this? No, that's my personal choice. And because of the way that this person operated, it struck a nerve with me some type of way to the point I don't want to follow their art, their music, their career, their inner whatever they do. I don't want to follow it no more. It's a personal preference, but it ain't for me to try to push on everybody else, because if you do that, then it's the illusion of a principle, and now you got to stand on the principle all across the board. Go ahead, sir.
So I mean, so y'all pretty much saying that you can't separate the music from the actual what's going on in their life, what they're going through, or stuff that they're being accused of. You can't separate it. Many people can't. And let me say this: I can in most situations. Now, there's certain people, or let me say, there's certain issues that I want, and I have this saying: if you're ishing in your own bed, then I have an issue with that. So you said if you're what in your own bed?
Ishing. Instead of saying shit, I'm trying not to cuss as much. Ishing in. If someone's ishing in their own bed, then I have a problem. What I mean by that is, if the thing you're being a hypocrite about is the same thing that you're trying to promote. Okay, Derek Jackson. I don't care if somebody getting their rocks off, but you the one male bashing, telling everybody how wrong they is for not sticking up for their woman, and you need to be focused and faithful to the only one, and you out there tricking with every ass you see. I have a problem. So it's the same thing it's the exact same thing that you're preaching is the same thing that you're doing opposite. So
well, he could be like, well,
instructor, you over here eating donuts and stuff like that. I can't rock with you. Like, how you I don't care what you weigh, but if you 300 pounds and you trying to tell me this is what you need to do to get in shape, I'm not listening to you. Because it's the same thing that you're trying to give me direction to is apparently the same thing that you have an issue with. That's the issue that I have with not all, but a lot of preachers. And I understand you got to preach the word, you got to preach the Bible, but you'll find there's certain preachers who focus in, they zero in on certain sins more than other. And so if you the person always talking about holiness and righteousness and you got to live right and do right this, and you just a stickler for everything, and then come find out that you messy, like, why are you going in so hard on everybody when you're doing exactly the same thing that you? I have an issue with that. Those are the things that, like, then I can't just listen to what you say, take the meat and throw away the bone. No, I can't listen to that coming from you. Mm-hmm. That's me personally. That's just me.
So you can't just take it as it's just being entertainment.
So let me give you my newest example. And it's not even that I can't. It's just certain things turn me off, and it's not even a choice that I'm making. Like, oh, I'm appalled. I can't believe this. I'm not watching you anymore. It's just something I'm just turned off. So right now, my sister's trying to get me off. I can't rock with Jada no more. Jada Pinkett. Right. I'm not rocking with like anything, because I used to like Red Table Talk. I listened to a lot of their stuff, and it seemed like, man, they really going in, they being transparent. They getting to the bottom of their issues and they really talking stuff out. And then when that stuff happened with Will, then you hush mouth. You ain't speak up for him. You ain't take no accountability for yourself. You don't do. It's like, so it's not even like I'm trying to hate on her, but it's like anything that she try to say talking about relationships it's gonna fall on deaf ears, because I know that ain't how you operating in your life. It
sounds
like you just putting it on. It sounds. Now it sounds fake. And that is now, if I found out that she was embezzling money and robbing people on the side, well, they ain't got nothing to do with what I like her for. I ain't tripping off of that.
Even if she was stealing money, even if she was stealing money from like organizations like
that wouldn't affect the way that I listen to Red Table Talk, because it doesn't hurt. Talking about relationships and her jacking people at nighttime when ain't nobody watching. Those two don't connect. So it's like, okay, well, she got a problem. She can't stop jacking people. She
a thief.
Well, I think this goes back to your question of even with comedy, but in real life, like what's the boundary? You know, like
Right.
now if Jada was out there molesting children, fuck her all day long. Her shows, all that. You know, so to your point, Joel, you know, like with the R. Kelly, you talked about like separating it being entertainment versus the actor. For me, I think when it comes to music, anyways, you know, because as musicians, y'all have to slip into a role. You know, you start to play the part of this other person. But that's still you writing those lyrics. That's you still singing those songs. That's you still creating this content from somewhere and applying it to the gift that you have, which is music. So for me, like with R. Kelly in particular, it broke my fucking heart to literally have to never support him again. I've got every fucking CD and tape that him and the announcement that R. Kelly, like I have every tape and CD that R. Kelly has ever put out. I will never touch them again. I will never stream. I will never. I won't.
I can understand that because you're dealing with something where the same type of music. Now you gotta wonder where the music came from.
You think about little girls and young women when you write this music. Right. So for that, in that case, I completely had to cancel R. Kelly. For me, I did.
But let me give you on the flip side though. People who I like a lot of Christian music. Now, you might be a hoe on the side and, you know, living life like a rock star. That don't mean you don't love God. So I can listen to your gospel music and still know that you a hoe and doing all this other stuff. That's not gonna bother me now.
Yeah, see, I couldn't because that's just fraud. That's fraud speaking.
Well, see,
but then
with me,
go ahead, Joe.
With me, because of course, you know, I do music. So with me, it was kind of like that with people like finding out people don't write their own rhymes or people they rapping about gangster stuff and they're not gangsters, right. Or they rapping about hustling, not hustling. And it kind of like, I was getting into a mode where like, they're fake, I'm not gonna listen to them. But then it gets to a point where it's like, they still make good music. And right. And me coming up listening to like Houston music, they always was faking in their rhymes. They didn't have them cars, they didn't have all that stuff. They eventually had it. But I just think the reason why I could separate R. Kelly from it, because I just grew up and I was just so into his music and how I remember the moments I had with his music. Now, yep. when I found out he was doing that stuff with girls, of course it's gonna break me because I got daughters, and it got to a point where I took all his music off my playlist. But then it's like, then it get to the point where it's like I still love his music. I had to get to a healthy medium where I could separate it and be like, yeah, I ain't fucking with him on that, but I'm still fucking with his music. You know what I'm saying?
And you fucking with his music still makes that man money off child molestation music. And I just can't. I feel like for me, there's just too many other R&B parts. There's too much R&B I can listen to. I can't listen to that man talk about little girls.
How do we know that those are child molesting music though?
We don't, but he's a child molester. He doesn't like women. He doesn't like adult women. He doesn't like adult aged women. He likes little girls our daughter's age. He likes them like that.
Well, I thought he had.
Seems like you're ready. I bet.
Didn't he have an ex-wife that was of age?
Well, yeah, but most pedophiles do have a decent life on the outside. You always got to have a cover up, you know. All dope dealers got front.
He could have been making them songs about her.
Well, it's possible, but I'm gonna go for. I think that most of this music was made to little girls, and it wasn't.
Joe,
I mean, it hurt my spirit. It hurt my.
That's why I get back to like when I feel like listening to him, then I listen to him. If you want me to give some profound reason, I don't. I can still listen to it, and it doesn't affect me. Does that make me a bad person? Possibly. I don't know.
That's
but
like,
it is what it is. Like
that's like one of.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was saying that's like one of my favorite artists, female artists, is Aria Lennox. Like I listen to her all the time. I can't totally relate to where she's coming from because she's coming from a woman's point of view, but I can recognize that it's good music, so I can kind of separate it. But I mean, that's the same thing with the whole R. Kelly thing. Like, I don't agree with how he is personally, but I don't know I don't know his whole story. I don't know him like that to know where all that stemmed from. You know what I'm saying? So I can kind of separate the music, and I can kind of be like,
he got abused as a child
because before this all came out, I didn't think. I mean, nobody was tripping on this music like that before all this stuff came out.
Well, they
So
should
that
have
means
been. They should have been.
yeah. So you don't listen to Michael Jackson no more either.
No, I rock with Michael Jackson.
Never.
Yeah, I rock with Michael Jackson. I listen to Michael Jackson all the time.
Oh, no, I'm talking to Nikki. You don't rock with Michael Jackson?
I turn Michael Jackson when it's on the radio. I turn Michael Jackson when it's on the radio, and that's hard. That's hard for me to do. But we talked about principle a second ago, and for me, if I don't show my children nothing, I show them what principle is. I show them that you got to make tough fucking decisions sometimes. You know, like it was something so simple and maybe not. Like when I learned that Chick-fil-A financially supported lobbyists and politicians that were against LGBTQ rights. I was like, we can't fucking shop at Chick-fil-A no more. We can't eat it. My son was like, oh, add them to the list of places.
No more chicken sandwiches.
And I
No
was like,
more
look, I was like,
waffle
they're
fries.
bigots. I was like, they hire gay people, they take gay people's money, but they support legislation that says, oh, but gay people shouldn't have the same fucking rights as the next human being. Now, if you feel like that, that's fine. Then eat all the Chick-fil-A you want to. But me, the type of person that I am, who's with the shits on all ends, I'm not gonna go give them my fucking money because I like their chicken and waffle fries when there's 9 million other chicken places to choose from, and my dollar counts in my house. I'm not going to close Chick-fil-A down with me never going to Chick-fil-A anymore. But my children know we don't support bigots. We don't support bullshit. We don't support people who talk out the side of their mouth. And if anything, I hope it teaches them to literally be 100% transparent and authentic and stand up for what they believe in. Because if I told them, well, fuck Chick-fil-A, but I come home with a Chick-fil-A cup all the time, well, my word don't mean shit. And y'all know in the street and out of the street, word is bond all the time. So we have to stand for something. And this is, I think, why we continue to have these scenarios, is because honestly, a lot of us just kind of turn the other cheek and justify shit because we love the music and we love the this and we love the that. And it's like, but if we really put our foot down and we said no was enough of us will make a difference. Some shit would change.
Still, even if we put our foot down and say enough is enough, it's still gonna go on. It's still gonna happen.
It will take some time, but it's going to be less and less. It will take time, but when you start to pinch people in their pockets, that's the only place they pay attention. That's it. When their money starts to get funny because people have said, man, we don't support you anymore. Like you think about, some of the other simple shit that has lost because of, online purchasing power and, information obtained from the internet versus, thinking that everything our teachers told us was the fucking truth and everything that we, were raised to believe with, was the truth. And then we find out later that it's not. Like, obviously as things change, our opinions and our experiences should too. But I don't know. I totally lost my fucking train of thought. But I feel like if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And if we continue to raise a generation that thinks that shit is okay, we're never going to get any better. We can accept the same bullshit that we living in right now. So we have to do something. We don't. I just choose to.
You can't do something.
I think if you keep following the rabbit hole all the way down, then ultimately you'll be living in the mountains in Montana somewhere. I would be so happy with that. I would be so happy with that. And I am not.
I am so okay with that.
So it's like it's one of, and I get it, but it's so if I'm gonna go all the way down the rabbit hole, then I know where it goes. So I just have to pick and choose with the hopefully 30-some years I have left on this earth. How do you want to spend it? And I make a lot of this stuff been around before I've been here, and it's gonna be here after I'm gone. Now that's the way I reconcile in my mind. Everybody has their own mode of how their mind and their brain works, and that's me. So I'll pick and choose. Yeah, I'm gonna do this, and even as I'll tell people, even as a Christian, yeah, Christmas is fake, Valentine's is fake. Most of the stuff we do is pagan stuff that ain't even biblical or have anything to do with it. Why y'all still do it, I don't know. But at the same time, look, if my kids happy, everybody happy, whatever. Let's celebrate all of it if that's what y'all want to do. Because if I'm gonna get rid of one thing, then I'm gonna get rid of all of it. And if I'm not willing to get rid of all of it, then let me not pick and choose and try to say this one is bad, but this one is okay because I kind of like it. No, Thanksgiving, all of it. We should do away with all of it.
You sound like my mom. My mom and my sister are like, man, Nikki's poor fucking kids. They don't get nothing no more. She done took all the joy out of it.
And that's what I'm like, look, I'm not.
That's like here. We don't do all that old foolishness. We don't boil eggs. We don't hide them in the yard.
Right.
We don't do the big. We had
I try.
a 9-foot Christmas tree in the house, and we don't do that no more.
Yeah, but you don't have little kids anymore.
I try not to participate in any of that stuff because all I see is just money coming out my pocket every time.
Period. They're all capitalistic holidays, and that's what I've explained to my kids.
All of it.
That's what I've explained to them. This is not about Jesus is the reason for the season.
I'll try to not promote it, but if enough promotion comes with them from other sources and they come toward me, then I'm like, all right, well. Presents it is.
I mean, I'm gonna buy the gifts.
Do stocking stuffers. Do if you're gonna do that. Like my grandmother, she told me they used to get oranges and apples and nuts and shit in they stocking, and that was Christmas. Yeah. So do them that way.
That's like Jehovah's being a Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
That ain't gonna work no more. They're gonna be they gonna call the people on you. They're gonna be trying to press charges on you for only giving them fruits.
But would it be bad if we started our children with the truth instead of started off our children lying to them?
I start my kids off with the truth, but the
but
problem
most
is
of society, doesn't.
You can't.
I mean, I subscribe to the bullshit for a while.
What they gonna see from other wrestling, unless you get all of your relatives, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, everybody on the same page, and they still gonna be exposed to it. And you're gonna have to either homeschool them or put them in a private school that all believe the same way. Outside of that, is going to be too much exposure, and they still going to bring it back to you.
Right, between school and TV alone, they gonna know what's going on.
You have to cut the TV off.
They start Christmas right after summer break. They start advertising Christmas and shit.
Right.
You ain't got
that's
a
what
chance.
I'm saying. Unless you're gonna do all of that, then it's kind of a losing battle.
Or you can get off the grid. That would be.
That's what I said, Stokely. I'll be somewhere in the mountains of Montana somewhere.
That's off on my list. It's at the top of the list. I'm telling you.
And I don't want to do that. I like my comforts.
I do too. And
this is why we are where we are.
I like my air conditioning.
Comforts.
I like my air conditioning.
I know.
I like being able to wash my hands. I like being able to not get ate up by mosquitoes.
Yes,
exactly.
I like my
AC
in Texas.
A pillow under my head at night is really nice.
I can lock my doors.
Of course.
All of that stuff. And see, that's what this is where people. This is off subject. When people lose me, people get a little too carried away with the America hate type stuff. Yeah, we got some messed up. We got a whole lot of messed up stuff.
We do.
Racism, the capitalism, all gender stuff, all of that stuff. But there is a reason that thousands of people are risking their life every day to get in here. Don't act like it's all sweet everywhere else except for here. I mean, people, they're risking their life, actually dying to get across these borders. Swimming across, people don't even know how to swim and they on rafts and stuff. Don't act like we got it that bad. It's bad, but put it in perspective. That's all I'm saying with all these America hating people.
See, I agree. I agree to an extent with that. Yes, America has its flaws,
a lot of them,
but it has its positives. Now, like I always say this when someone comes with that discussion or that topic. Look, as a black man in this country, all we asked for were civil rights. We weren't asking for extra rights or more rights than you have. We were just asking for civil rights. And so that's why when we can't even get civil rights, I mean, they had to vote on civil rights. Just asking the motherfuckers to be civil. They had to vote.
Right.
So
we need to take a vote on it?
I have a reason to be upset with this country. I have a reason to question this country. I have a reason to ask, well, why am I still fighting for the same shit my grandparents fought for? Not to that extent or not on that level, but I do have a reason to ask. And, when people tell you go back to Africa, motherfucker, who is you to tell me to go back any motherfucking where?
That's weak. Yeah, that's weak.
But and that's 101. I'm a Patriot 101 type shit, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't hate the country. I hate that the country can't be what the country says it is or claims to be.
Right.
And I have I get sick of the hypocrisy of people in the country, because one of the things what was it? No taxation without representation. Like they were founded like, no, if we don't have a voice, then you don't have a right to try to take money. They went to war with America's our roots is going to war.
Right.
So don't try to get mad when we stand up for ourselves as Americans and say, no, we have the right to demand better.
We do.
And we're not going back to Africa.
We not.
I'm here.
We not.
I'm born here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was too.
I'm just as much a citizen. You go back to England.
And see that's the thing. Well, and then when the Pilgrims came here, you know, it wasn't their best citizens. It was crooks. It was It was the trash of England that came to this.
They sent the 100.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it wasn't the king. The king was like, "Yeah, take your asses on, you trash, you mother." And that's what came to America and started, you know, this. So, you know again,
that's what even black people get that messed up too sometimes, because a lot of black people think a certain way about Africans, not knowing, like, you know, the Africans that come over here, the nicer, educated ones. Like, don't think that, you know, it's all sweet and everybody's soft. On the other side, the ones that are not able to get over here, so they like us. They like us in different type of ways. So, you know.
Yeah.
They must have never met them Africans in Houston.
You said you never? You must have never?
So you must have never met them Africans in Houston, because they just like us in Houston.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Let me ask y'all a question. Now, this is kind of off topic, but I was asked this question today, and I've said, man, I'm going to ask.
We free flowing. Ain't nothing off topic.
Okay. So I'd gone to the Holocaust Museum in D.C., and the way that it operates is you go in the door, you get the little passport of a Jewish Holocaust person that died in one of the camps, and you go through the whole museum, and you're following this person based on this little passport of theirs, and there's millions of them in there, and you just pick one and you follow that person's trail through the concentration camps and such till their death. Anyway, so that was the conversation with one of these people that I work with, and he asked me, he says, knowing what you know about Hitler right now, if you could go back in time to 1940, knowing what you know, and you had the opportunity to kill Hitler, would you kill him?
What kind of question is that?
I've heard that question plenty of times before. I've heard that question plenty of times before. Yeah.
It was never posed to me that way.
How is it even debatable? Would anybody say no?
Yes,
people say no.
People say no because, and I'll share. People say no.
Why would somebody say no?
You sometimes you don't know what the ripple effect is going to be from that.
Look at
like what if I
say we don't kill him? Say we killed him back then.
Right
now, what if? I'll give you scenarios. What if all that, because people are still evil, like Stokely said a few weeks ago, we a raggedy species.
We raggedy as hell.
So what if instead it didn't prevent anything, but it prolonged it,
made a worse dictator, far more suffering.
But not just think about if World War II, instead of it happening in the 1940s, it happened in 2010 with the technology that we had. Like we might blow ourselves off of out of the sky, like literally scorch earth. That's that Terminator 2 stuff for real, where you completely scorch. Like, so you just don't know the ripple effect when you think you're trying to do something better, and then later on it end up making things worse. Those things that you just
this is
never
kind of and this is kind of the way that I thought about it. Would you sacrifice? Would you kill one man or would you kill one man to change the pattern of what we know the world has been to this point? And most people would say, knowing Hitler and what he did, I'd kill him immediately. But he said, what if out of those 6 million people, there were 1 million killers worse than Hitler? Well, we don't know. We don't know. It's all speculation. It's all, it could be. You don't know. But had you killed him and those 6 million people actually lived, the world would be so different at this point. We wouldn't talk about the Holocaust. We wouldn't talk about all the stuff that we talk about as far as how Jewish people are even treated, how Germany changed their rules. Can you imagine
that world where that whole dynamic was different?
Who's to say that those same people wouldn't ultimately treat us worse than how they were even treated back then?
Absolutely.
So know.
You don't know. And that's the thing. That's why the question, when he asked the question, I was like, whoa, I had to think about it. It's me being me, I always want to take up for folk. So I'd have probably shot him. I'd have probably been like, shit.
I wouldn't. I can tell you, I probably wouldn't. And in situations like that, I think, unless it's real personal. So say I was born a little bit earlier to where my mother died in the Holocaust. Oh yeah, I'm killing them then.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If it's closer to home and it's more, I'm sure a lot of people who, a lot of Jewish people who had so much of their family wiped out, they're like, oh yeah, he gone.
I mean, genocide.
Because there's personally people and ancestors and relatives that you can point to that are not here, and not only they're not here, but their children and their descendants, the whole line of people that you would have known as far as siblings and cousins stuff, you never know because they didn't get the chance to exist. Yeah, right. you gonna knock them off.
Yeah.
So you say if you go back in time, and you would be a Jewish man or a black man?
No, I'd be me. You be you.
Well, it wouldn't affect you. I guess I think it wouldn't affect you as much as you black. But if you went back and you was Jewish, you wouldn't have a different mind frame.
That's what I was saying. I said I'm pretty sure I would.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So let me ask.
Well, that almost goes back to the whole "not in my backyard" issue that I take with where people do or don't place equal accountability, in bad situations. Like, because I would definitely kill Hitler. Absolutely.
You definitely?
Absolutely would kill Hitler.
Okay, so most people say they would.
Some evils just need to be gone. Period.
I believe the same.
I think that if you have somebody who is that evil and that much of a dictator that he's able to brainwash and corral up those that feel like him, that evil just needs to be extinguished. Now, you're
never gonna fully kill off. You're not gonna fully kill off evil ever. It's gonna be some other evil people.
But you also know that even from the effects of that war started the effect of decolonization for the rest of the world. Had that war not happened, Africa, Asia, India, all of those places will still be under English or Spanish or
European
French
control.
Rule. Yep.
Yeah.
All of them, man. Who's to say what they would have? What would happen?
How would
that could have contributed to hundreds of thousands or millions of more African people dying because of that.
But who's to say that the course of action wouldn't have changed entirely in those places as well, and maybe things would have gone different regardless? I mean, if we're going to play the what if game,
what I can say is
could have gone a long way.
The end of the war caused decolonization, and all of the colonized places within just about all of them within 10 to 15 years, they pulled out of all of those areas.
Sometimes bad stuff has to happen in order for the end goal to be good. Like it has to be a balance.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm just saying you don't know. You just don't know. You don't know.
That's so crazy.
It seemed like a simple answer on the surface, but then when you think about it,
when you start thinking about it, it's not so simple. Because one thing can change. One thing by you killing him could have changed a bazillion different things in the world to come, because you're talking about 1 million people still living. They would have went their different ways and life would have went on.
6 million people living.
That's what I'm saying. 6 million people.
When would you kill them though? Like at what? You kill them as a baby? You killing them in his first year in
waiting.
power? Or see, because think about this, because now
this is why abortion should be legal. See, his mother could have aborted him, and then it would have just fucking been all right. It would have all been fine.
If you kill him while he's in the height of his power, then you make him a martyr.
A martyr, right?
Right.
But he, you know,
because at that point he hadn't killed all those people yet, and it's like, why did y'all do that to him? I can't believe that.
Now
so
you become
now who, depending on who did it. If it was America, now America might be public enemy number or world enemy number one.
Right. Now you
we might not exist now, because think about this. It wasn't until I think it was more after World War I. We weren't as powerful as we weren't the most powerful militarized country at that time. So we could have been overtaken
easily. Easily. I mean,
wake up and then we don't exist.
Right. Our parents don't exist. Because most of our parents were born. I mean, my parents were born in the 40s, and late to mid to late 40s.
Right.
So they wouldn't exist either. We'd be done. We wouldn't even be here having free thinkers conversations.
Well, my daddy family was all German, so I'd probably still be here.
Who's
to say though?
I mean, I'm just for the sake of this conversation. That's all I'm saying.
Nikki gonna be here. She said,
right.
So hey,
like
but it was posed to me. And
well, I get the chain effect. I do get the chain effect, but I'm also not going to act like maybe the chain effect would have also not have gone the other direction. You know, maybe the events that could have taken place had somebody like Hitler never, existed, would some of the other things that, preceded World War II and Germans and Nazis, like would those things have also just been not existent and totally different,
Well, you have to think. So you know how he started the dislike or the feelings that he had for Jewish people was because he didn't get into art school. Now tell me this motherfucker ain't a Karen. This motherfucker did not get into art school, and 4 of the 5 people that had the ability to get him into art school or approve him were Jewish. And so that's what perpetuated this. So he did not get into art school in Vienna, and that's how it all started.
That's it's a pile up effect. That's
but that's the beginning
and then later after World War I. They pretty much blamed Germany for the whole cause of World War I. Then they put all these sanctions on them. They shrunk down their military, had them pay this huge amount of money. And a lot of the German people were not well-to-do at the time. And a lot of Jewish people were still owning properties and doing well. So they were still an easy target to look at that time. So it keeps piling on and piling on. So other people are like, why such and such over here? They own all these stores and got all this money, and we over here struggling. And
and German people were telling Hitler like, it's because of the Jews, and just like black people, we get blamed for a whole bunch of shit that we ain't got no control over. But we have been blamed for some shit. It's the same damn thing. But see, now the difference in that is I don't know how they're gonna kill 6 million black folk in America. They could at this point in 2022.
Oh yeah, no, they can't. Well, they would just keep the fast food places. And,
I was gonna say diet. Diet's number one. It's up there.
Mm-hmm.
That, blood pressure, and PTSD.
Blood pressure.
You're talking about kill 6 million black people all at one time.
Well, I was thinking when I said it, I was speaking on when I said it initially, I was speaking on the terms of us going into gas chambers. But you're right. Systemically, they gonna kill our ass with all, like you said, we've got the neighborhoods, we got the fast food, we got the liquor stores, we got all this shit combined. They gonna knock us off.
But even they don't have to though, because they just turn us against each other. We'll knock each other off. Or that, yeah.
But then see, it's also like the lobster effect.
Crab.
When you just turn is it crab or lobster? Well, I like lobster.
Crab in a barrel.
Not the crab in the barrel. Not the crab in the barrel.
Oh, okay.
About when they cook a crab, they turn the heat up so slowly that the lobster doesn't actually notice that they're being
Right.
cooked until,
it's too late.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if somebody just throw you in a bowl, you're gonna feel it and you're gonna have a strong reaction to it. But when they do it in such a slowly manner, like, so they have to take control over you mentally before they can take you physically at that level of mass people. And that's what they did. So even with the Jewish people, they started off, well, this is the curfew. We got to give you a curfew. Then we're going to give you this patch that you got to put on.
The Star
now
of David.
You regulated on how much you can eat. Now you can only go in these sections. You got to stay confined. And it wasn't, we coming in to kill. It was just slowly. Now we're taking you to labor. It was just slow.
Well, look what they're doing. Look what they're doing right now in Martha's Vineyard. Okay, so I'm just so tired of those who make the rules treating Black and brown people the way that they treat them. Like, you can just send these people on a plane from Texas to Florida, then to Martha's Vineyard. I mean, this is look how they did
when you're rich, racist, and white.
Yes, and get away with it. All they're doing is talking about
humans. They trafficked humans. They trafficked humans. Like, and people are okay with it because they're brown and they're illegal.
Right. So the correlation that I'm trying to make here is how they did the Jewish people when they said, okay, y'all going in there and get in the shower. They threw everybody a towel. You get naked, go on in there, and then they throw those tabs in there. And as soon as them tablets got wet and all that gas started flowing on them, they were dead. When I was at the Holocaust Museum and I was standing in a rail car and they had these dots on the floor with a number on it. So my passport had a number on it. I had to stand on that dot. I was standing on 3 dots. I wear a size 12 shoe. I'm standing on 3 dots. And every dot represented a person. So that's how close together these people were. But they didn't, it's amazing to me that we are seeing this type of bullshit happen again. It's just crazy.
That kind of is almost the point of this whole conversation, Stokely, is like most of society is at a slow boil. It's slowly being fucking cooked. Yep. And they're not going to know it until they can't get out the pot anymore.
I've been saying that for at least 6 years, Nikki, and I said we're not going to change because we're too comfortable.
We are comfortable, yes.
If we choose that, if we choose it, because it is a choice. Some things are not. Some things are not. Some things are not.
Everything, even in the midst of everything that we're doing, think about it. Most people in America, you have access to food, you have access to clothing. Most people have access to shelter.
Right.
With those, you're going to be comfortable unless you get the basic necessities taken away. Then that's when the flight or fight mentality kicks in. But that's not going to happen because everybody's too comfortable. We have our basic necessities are met. So we'll put up a fuss, but we can only. We're not gonna. It's not gonna be long standing, and we're not gonna fight till the end because. All right, well, I got a nice soft bed waiting for me at the house. I'm gonna go.
I like my comforts. I just said that 10 minutes ago.
Try it again tomorrow. Think about, even, and I'm not talking bad on nobody. Even when we march and rally, we go home at the end of the night
to get in our beds and our hot shower.
We'll come back at it again later. A lot of these they gonna stay until the resolve is met or till a war break out until something. We're gonna go to sleep.
But see, that's the thing. It's like, I'm going to tell y'all this real quick because, some people will fast in protest. Look, I did a 48-hour fast in about hour 42, 43. I was ready to cash it on in. My head was hurting so bad. My body was uncomfortable. I was like, holy crap.
If you get past day 4, you can. I did 21 days. I did
21?
Yep.
Holy
I fast every day.
Do you really?
Like, I do intermittent fasting.
You did intermittent. No, I did.
About 16 hours,
I did complete no food for 21 days.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. See,
if you get past, you get.
He wanted 2 days, then he saw him.
2 days. AQ, I told you I like my comforts.
I saw God.
I know you did.
I'd have been hallucinating about it, but I saw God.
I know you did.
I was like, my wife, I told her, baby, look, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Here go the combination of my safe, my gun, everything. Look, you have it all. Because I was like, man. But yeah, the headache was the bad part. But here we go from talking about the Holocaust to headaches and fasting. But yeah, people will protest and fast or fast and protest. And again, at the end of the day, most people are just too comfortable. They go and get in that Sealy Posturepedic bed, that mattress that I got in there. And I'm like, okay, I'll do this again tomorrow, but I rub some icy hot on my legs if I've walked all day and done the protest and all that, and get up the next morning and do it again. And
that's okay. It's okay to have some comforts. It's okay. It's okay to still participate in the things that do make your life a little bit easier, because we are gifted that privilege right now with where we live. You know, I got a Sealy Posturepedic, but I got a nice bed, but we don't eat Chick-fil-A. I got a nice bed, but I haven't had cable provider in over 12, 13, 14 years.
Wow.
You know, there's certain things that you get used to it after a while. You think I'm missing Chick-fil-A? No. You think I'm missing, I mean, and that's just the one example that I can give, but there's so many things that when you give them up, you realize a lot of the shit you didn't fucking need to begin with. We just get into this weak ass space of I can't, or we choose to, and that's totally fine. I just know that contributes to the larger problem of the powers that be, the capitalists, the power of white supremacy is going to continue to function well, because we're oiling the machine. We're literally oiling the wheel.
Absolutely right. You know me,
I don't think that my efforts as one individual with my 3 children is going to make the fucking wheels fall off of the entire society, but I know if more people thought and disciplined and did like I do, in some of those situations, there would be a difference when the dollars are affected. Period.
I'm all about breaking the entire system, though. I mean,
yeah.
And I know I can't do it by myself, but that's the only thing that's going to turn this shit around. You said earlier, hit them in their pockets, and that's where they'll start to understand what the hell you're talking about. If every every employed black person in this country did not go to work for 3 days,
that's all it would take.
The 5th day, this country's economy would collapse completely.
I agree.
The 5th day.
I fucking agree.
And so
and
that's
black people have the power to turn this whole motherfucker over.
We could, but we can't get it together long enough. We're scared we're going to lose something. And I'm about breaking the system. I mean, and everybody doesn't agree. But that's the only way you're going to get shit to change. That's the only way you're going to get shit to change. Yep. Yeah. These old white men make rules. Bam.
I gave up on that. Ain't going to happen. So I gave up on that a long time ago.
Oh, I'm just saying, I'm speaking, but I know we're not going to not go to work for 3 days. Shit, nigga, we got shit to do on Saturday.
See, but and that's, everybody has their own personal, way of doing things, and I'm not going to change nobody's belief or vice versa. But if y'all about that life, come fuck with me. Because I fully believe in affecting. I believe that even small steps affect great change. It's all about the ripple that you create. And my ripple may not be big, but that bitch is waving every day, with the decisions that I make and the things that I stand on and what I don't tolerate, what I'm not going to contribute to. And sometimes it sucks to have to, pass up a certain store to go across town to go elsewhere, where you put your dollars. And I think I've been saying this since probably the very first meeting of the minds that I went to 8-9 years ago, is if we control our dollar, we control the fucking masses. But they got us. They make it so convenient for us to just suck on the tit of consumerism, that it's like it just rocks us back to sleep.
Yeah. And then if white people would, those that even halfway want to change the system, I've already come to the conclusion a lot of people don't want to cut off your nose and spite your face.
Right.
If they quit doing shit for 1 day, by the 3rd day, this bitch would be crumbled. Because there's more white folks,
right.
But it's just one of those things, like they're not going to get it until the and nobody likes to suffer. Nobody wants to suffer. Nobody wants to go without. Shit, I'm over here drinking this thing of water right now, and I want to get up and get some more, but I got a point to make, and I'm working towards it. Shit. But go ahead. I'm fucking with y'all.
No, we gotta close up, so go and make your point.
I didn't lost train of thought. How you get going and shit. You like, damn.
We both lost our train of thought.
I done forgot what the point was and shit. But
it ain't
you
gonna,
know,
it ain't gonna change. Ain't gonna
Yeah.
change.
I don't know. I still believe, for anybody who's listening, who feels a little bit of what I'm saying, it's like in 12 steps where you say one day at a time, right? Literally, decisions to do something different is one decision at a time. That's it. Not all of your fucking decisions, not all of them for the day, not tomorrow, not next weekend, but like right now, today, what decision do I make? Do I consume this product, or do I consume something that's better for me? Do I consume this product who I know is part of the establishment, or do I consume this Black-owned mom and pop product that's across the town that might be $5-10 more, but I'm going to keep putting my fucking money over there because this is what I believe in? Like, it's literally the tiniest of decisions. And then before you know it, you're making 5 of those decisions a day. And then before you know it, you're like, damn, I haven't supported a chain here or a franchise here or anything that wasn't Black owned or minority owned or woman owned or whatever, right? But like, it's one decision at a time. And it feels actually fucking good when you do it. And then sometimes you don't go back to that.
That is true.
But then you die, then what happens? Is you still got that effect? You still got that ripple effect?
I believe
Somebody
so.
picks up,
Energy
yeah.
never dies. Energy doesn't stop. So the ripple that you put out there into the universe, I feel, is going to keep going. And if you have children, which we do, our children pick up that ripple. They're going to follow our fucking footsteps because we didn't just talk that shit. We walked that shit. And they saw that,
but
damn, they really are
like,
doing it.
That's just like the ripple on as far as religion. I grew up with my family. We was, Christians, Jesus this, Jesus that. And as I got older, and I am now where I'm at now, I don't believe in none of that. That doesn't, that's not how I walk now.
Right.
So how do you know the ripple that you're, putting out there in the universe? How you know your kids won't grow up and see a different light and be like, nah, I'm not gonna believe what my mama's talking about. I'm gonna go this route. How you know that's not gonna happen?
Well, I feel like when you use religion as an example, for me, because I'm also not a religious person, it's easy to find the differences in those, right? In the way that a person walks, talks, thinks, and believes. You can be raised in a religious home, but you watched your elders really not practice what was preached. And as a child, you learn justification and rationalization. You learn that people can say some shit and they can tell you what to do, but you don't really have to follow it. Whereas if you out here and you say, example, we don't eat at Bill Miller barbecue because he's a Trump supporter. Well, we're never going to eat at Bill Miller barbecue. We don't eat Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A, are biggest. Those may be little tiny insignificant ripples, but it's the principle behind them. There isn't no disputing whether or not this people did or didn't support something I don't support. And a religion is just a whole other conversation in itself. But I also too think that when new information is entered into a picture, your perspectives may change. So maybe the kids do change their perspective. Hell, when my kids are with their dad, they fucking eat Chick-fil-A. But they come home and they're like, Mom, we ate Chick-fil-A today. Well, you're very well aware of what you're doing when you're doing it. You didn't drive to Chick-fil-A, your dad did. He likes to eat Chick-fil-A. He don't care about the same shit I care about. But they're cognizant. They have now been given both sides of the coin. And when they get older, I hope that because my walk is what it is, that they choose on the active righteousness as well. So we don't know what the ripple effect is going to be, but I can't say that I'll never say that there isn't one.
But I think that's the only ripple effect that I would look for, unless God put the Martin Luther King bone in your vein or the whatever, the leader of the masses. I don't think everybody's designed for that. I don't even think most people are designed for that. What you can do is look within yourself what is righteous for you, and if you do that, what's righteous, that's the legacy that you're putting to your kids. Whatever the case is, do the right thing within yourself. So when they grow up, they might not do the same thing that you do, but they won't follow the masses because they're like, what's right for me at this time in this moment in my life? And that's the only thing I want anybody to focus on. Just do the right thing. For you, make sure you're a righteous person and then take righteous actions. That's it.
And that's what I stand on too, especially like as far as like the golden rule. I just try to do by people how I want people to do by me, and that's how I raise my kids. Like do the right, like you say, do the right thing and treat people how you want to be treated.
And we know that doesn't guarantee us anything immediate, but the long term of that mentality, that energy, that wavelength, that vibration is always going to be, I bet you and yours are going to be taken care of in situations where the next person might have failed, might have fallen, might have crumbled, might have took on too much water. But if you put out that positive vibration, it's going to come back. And I think that that's the most important thing.
You can't control the future.
No,
you
definitely.
do everything right, and a drunk driver jump a curve and take you. You
Sure.
just never know. But it's not about how you go out. It's about how you live.
What you left.
Yeah. While I'm living, I want to make, so even if, and that's Nick Simons, he put a post up there it was maybe a week ago.
I saw a few posts that he put up there.
It was something that he put up there as far as I don't know, some Indian guy or whatever, and they was asking him, what if you find out that heaven don't exist? But anyway, the whole point of, I wasn't focused on that, but more of what he was saying, it's like it's pointless to focus on the afterlife or what's to come. Let me do something good so I can be rewarded later. It's like, no, just
do something good today.
Do the right thing. Do something good. Live your life righteously in a way that you could look in the mirror, be proud of yourself, hold your head up, and let that other, whatever it is, the future, whether it's next week, or you let that part handle itself. As far as like those are the things that you don't know, but just do the right things right now. You prepare for your future, but at the same time, you don't try to live your life in some type of mysticism type stuff. Like, no, just do well.
We only live in the present moment anyways. We only live in right now, so that's the easy way to take on a whole lot of anxiety, is to worry about tomorrow and the tomorrow after that and the next day after that. But to the point of creating the ripple effect, if you're doing things with the expectation of getting a positive response right away, or in general, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Right.
You do it because it just is what needs to be done. You do it because it's the right thing to do. Doesn't matter if anybody agrees with it or not. Right is, the right thing to do is the right thing to do. It will come back. It always comes back. My daddy always taught me, all you can do is take care of your side of the street. That's all you can do. And as long as you keep your side of the street clean, it generally is going to work out somewhere down the line.
I think the real goal is be who you are. Like, be true to yourself. Now, with that, be who you are, be true to yourself. Now, if being who you are and being true to yourself keeps bringing you negative results, then you have to re-examine, who am I? What type of person am I? And do I need to make some changes? If I'm being who I am and I keep seeing negative results, negative energy, I have negative people around me.
You are your common denominator.
Right. So then, but you got to be yourself though. Right. Be yourself first, and then if you see those things, like, okay, what is it about me that I may need to modify or change, either my actions, behavior, surroundings, whatever. Then you can start asking yourself the question. But if you're trying to be somebody else, or you're trying to do what you think people is acceptable for people, you still never gonna get to the root of who you are, and you're not gonna find self-fulfillment that way.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki,
right. Go ahead, Joe.
Nikki, what you were saying about how everything comes back around, kind of like karma or whatever. With that in mind, then certain topics, I see you be like wholehearted on certain topics and fight for it and standing on it, as far as like maybe the R. Kelly or other stuff like that you feel like that about. Why don't you hold that same stance as far as they're gonna get what they deserve anyway, or it's gonna come back around anyway, as far as like doing any type of like protesting or anything like that? Why focus on it? Why protest it when you know it's gonna come back around anyway? So why not just focus on what you can control, and it's what's in your around you right now, as far as this other stuff that's in the media, because they're gonna get theirs. Everybody's gonna serve their justice, so why focus on it? Why, but like, no, I'm and riot against it when we really can't change it because we're not right there.
No, but we do need to. There are some things that people do criminally need to be held accountable for. There are some things that people absolutely 100% have deserved punishment for. And then sometimes it's just a matter of educating other people. Sometimes it honestly blows my mind how many people don't know the same things that I know. or you know, or that Q knows, or that Stokely knows. Like sometimes it blows my mind that some of the things that maybe I might think are like, you should just know this. Like, don't you have the same internet that I have? But that's a really ignorant mindset for me to take. So sometimes it's literally just the aspect of educating others, because some people literally don't know. And I feel like, and I'm only going to use me as an example, I feel like for me, most people that know me know I do my research. I do my due diligence. And so I feel like people sometimes are just kind of by default maybe trust in what I talk about or what I post or what I share, because I'm a legitimate source of information. I don't just speak on shit I don't know about, or just half-ass give an opinion because I'm in my feelings. So, but again, but some things are punishable. Some things are consequence based, you know. At the same time, you're still going to get karma to come through and kick your ass too. Like, she ain't never going to forget. Like, she coming, you know. But in some cases, absolutely, because they're just that vile, you know, there's a violation involved. Like, yeah, you need some more penalty than just a little bit of karma to come back around here. But she coming too. She coming.
So do you feel by focusing on certain things and certain topics, do you feel that in some way you kind of bring that more into your reality?
Give me an example.
Like, say you're focusing on people fighting all the time, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna stop searching for it on the internet. But everywhere you go, you see somebody fighting, or you're fighting with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think like some of the stuff that you wholeheartedly focus on, do you think you're bringing more of that into your reality?
Bringing that into my reality? My reality of what? Maybe I'm not following you well.
As far as seeing more of it, or for like, it's always going to be something that you're going to have to fight for. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, do you think the certain things that you focus on, or that you like, or feel wholeheartedly about certain topics, do you think you bring those in your reality as far as seeing more of it, and it's coming across your more? Because like some of the stuff that y'all talk about, like a lot of the stuff y'all talk about, I don't even know nothing about it, because I don't be on the internet to focus on it like that. So and all I focus on is what I can control as far as my family, my kids, and what's around me. So I stand on them things.
Right.
But what's going on the internet, I'll be like, that's why I'll be like, when I came on the first time, I'll be like, I don't know what y'all talking about, because
100%.
I don't really just put my energy into it like that.
Right.
I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Yeah, and
I believe
you definitely do.
Energy is magnetic, and that what you give your focus and energy to, then it will gravitate towards you. And outside of free thinkers in this show, I'm not aware. People tell I'm not aware of most of this stuff either, because I don't even pay attention to it. Like that's not my focus. The only time I even look at stuff is when I have to like be aware of what's going on for the sake of the show. Outside of that, like halftime, I'm at, all right, what's going on? What happened? Or what we talking about? Let me look at this real quick before we get up. But that's not my focus. Is on my family, expanding my life, getting us to the next, you know, our happiness, getting us to the next level, and enjoying my inner circle, whether it's my friends. I don't have Facebook friends. Like anybody there's ever real issue, I call them. I text them directly. I ain't going in your comment thread. Oh, I'm praying for you. Love and hugs. And no, I don't do. Hey, yo, what's going on? Like, if I even see something where I feel one of my friends, man, I just don't know what's going on. I'm going through. I'm not sending prayers. No, ring. What's going on?
Right.
That's kind of reason why I said that, because I was kind of like, I remember as far as police brutality, because it's so much of it goes on. I would be in a space where I see it and I'd be like, man, fuck this, fuck them, and fuck police. And then you see so much of it, and it's like, you're still gonna see it, it's still gonna come on every day. So I don't like to be so focused on stuff that's gonna affect my energy and how I treat people and how I'm treating police officers, and I'm thinking every police officer is like that, and like and it's really not like that, but that's all I see. And then you
oftentimes you're giving off a nervous energy, and you so the only thing that I do say, I like to be, I don't want to be dumb when it comes to things, like to the point to where I'm just oblivious and I don't know what's going on in the world around me. Once I get
definitely
this is going on, I see, all right, this is the way I work. Now I don't have to overindulge in it. I don't have to sit there and look at every single, I know it's effed up. I know the police is a trip. I know that, you know, everybody love these chicken sandwiches. I know that whatever it is, I don't have to just keep following it like nonstop, because then you overly feeding in this. And I tell you what's the worst right now, and I feel sorry for some people. On social media is killing people's ability to have meaningful future relationships.
Oh, and have been. Yeah, absolutely.
All of this stuff.
Absolutely.
You want to talk about what's toxic right now? The posts, the memes, all of these people, the content creators trying to tell you what you should and should not be doing, and what type of man and high value and this and that, all the things that you should be looking for. And that's toxic stuff. That's killing relationships.
So do you think it should be a filter on that?
No, I don't think it should. I think I don't. When people, this is the dangerous thing about lack of knowledge. When people walk with the lack of knowledge, now you open and you're easily influenced by anything that comes along. You're easily influenced by somebody wearing a suit and tie and they well lined up. Oh, they look like they got it all together. I guess what they say must make some sense. Oh, they're standing up giving a seminar in front of 800 people. I guess what I need to listen to what they have. That don't mean they know what they're talking about. But people listen, and the only reason you listen is because lack of knowledge. And that goes back to the church and other things like that. If you don't have the knowledge, the people who don't possess knowledge can easily be fooled by anything.
But it also depends on where you're getting your knowledge from.
True. Because you can be fed the wrong shit depending on who feeding it to you.
That's I use a term that I always use, pragmatism, because even good knowledge don't mean it's applicable for you. You could take in some good knowledge that's not going to work for you. Because I said this, I've been in sales for over 20 years. One of my mentors, a girl by the name of Amber, she taught me so much when it came to a different level of sales game. And she would just be cutthroat, go right for it, tell them what to do. No, we need to sign this. We need to do this right now, blah, blah, blah. She gets straight to the point. And when I be on the phone, she's like, Q, you being too soft. You need to do this. And there were certain things I listened to her to kind of refine my skills. And there was other things I said, Amber, you are a 140-pound white girl, and you sound like a white girl. If I said the same thing that you did the same way, I'd be in HR within 48 hours. I know that I see the way you're effective. I can't do everything the same way that you do it. So even good information, that don't mean it's applicable for everybody. The same thing that worked for you is the same thing that's going to get me fired. So you got to know it's just because it's good information don't mean it's applicable for you. And you got to know the difference. And that's why I said pragmatism come in. You got to try it out.
Yeah. People, with that being said, some people don't believe that, like you said, you can say the same shit that someone else says, but coming from you, it's a different tone. And there was a point in time when I got caught up on all this old bullshit, and I was in jail every day on Facebook. They had to put so long. But my thing was.
Look, I'm out. Don't even talk to me, Stokely. We can't be going back in.
my thing was, you can't call me a racist when I'm pointing out the racist things that you and Q, you touched on it earlier. Everything that I hate about, I didn't want to become that person. You know, here I'm preaching about something and I'm doing the same shit. I don't want to be that person because people tune you out, man. They just quit listening to you. So, but my point was, if I'm pointing out the racist things that you do, that doesn't make me a racist. You've never heard me say anything that is racist about another culture of people, another race of people.
You can't be racist. You could be prejudiced. You could be prejudiced if you wanted to, but you cannot be racist by definition.
By definition, no.
You can't be racist by definition.
I can't.
No,
you
he
can't.
I can.
Joel
Y'all,
cannot.
You can be
Nikki
president,
definitely
but you cannot be racist.
One day that we can't. I just reject that statement because that
Let me ask you,
implies that we'll always be in a
state of
a submissive
a system of white
oppression,
supremacy, which you will be if we're in this country and it's still at the helm.
Well,
so by default, definition systemic, no non-white person can be racist.
Has the ability.
You can be judged. You can't be prejudiced.
Maybe in this country that may hold validity to it in this country, but there's other places where black people have, and that's why there's.
Well, we're talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we are talking about the United States of America because that's where I'm at. That's where I live. That's where I was born. That's what I do. And to have, and I understand what you're saying because it'll leave us in a place where we'll always be the oppressed if we really truly believe that. But the fact of the matter is, as a whole, we don't have the power to oppress anybody. We don't.
I agree.
In this country, let me clarify that.
I agree. No, I agree.
We just don't.
I know what you're saying.
So
okay, that's always how I know someone's a racist. Like when a white person tells me I'm racist against white people, I'm like, oh, you're fucking one of them. I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. This is so stupid. I just stop at that point. I'm like, this is dumb. Like you probably sleep with your brother and a fucking cow at the same time. I can't. Like, you literally have to be that dumb.
Stokely, she ain't gonna make it to the end of this year. I can tell already.
Look, I didn't type it. I'm on StreamYard. We're not going through Facebook.
I can tell. Right. But see, that's my whole point with it. For me, it starts with a mindset. That's really what I'm saying. I can see your mindset. You ain't gonna make it to the end of this year. I am
gonna make it. I am. I ain't talking to nobody. I ain't saying shit. I'm done trying to educate.
Inbox me first, Nikki, before you send it out to the masses, and I'll critique it. All of your comments and stuff. I'll proofread it and correct it, and then type it out where it's palatable.
One of my friends texted me last night. I had just got out of Facebook jail like yesterday morning, and he texted me last night. He's like, all right. He's like, you better stay out. And I was like, which one did you see? I didn't say shit yesterday.
Man. Look, Mark got your boy so nervous. I don't say too much either, though. I'll just sit back and read.
Look, I almost forgot the last 2 days. Like, I almost forgot I had permission to be on Facebook.
Joe, what you about to say, sir? And then we're going to get 5 minutes. We're going to close out.
All right.
So Nikki, are you saying if a white person goes to a place like a hood where there's no white people at all, they couldn't or wouldn't experience racism?
Nope.
No, they could experience prejudice. They could experience prejudice. They could experience people who are prejudiced against white people, rightfully so. At that same token, but the definition of racism, the hood is not going to suppress that one. I mean, at the end of the day, that one white person is still going to prosper in that situation.
Joel, I'm going to say this:
if they don't give you jobs, if they won't give you fair housing, because it's not owned directly by black people. Say it's owned by the Arabs. Say it's on, and they don't. I mean, you're still in a position to where, you are treated less than, not just treated, but you are having certain things taken away from you because of your color, and you're in a neighborhood that's not controlled by white people.
So even a white person that's in the hood or in that area that's pretty much as far as tatted up, grilled up, they really indulge in that whole culture. You don't think they'd be treated differently?
I mean, they may be treated differently, but they're still white. They're still not black.
Wait, Joel, are you talking about treated differently by the black people? The white person got grilled up and tatted up.
By both races. By both races, I say that because I have a homeboy. He's white, and he fits that description as far as tatted up, grilled. He grew up around black people, so I understand. Yeah. But he go in certain areas. White people are just as scared as him as they're scared of me. They more scared of him than me.
White people are scared of every fucking thing. I mean,
exactly.
White people are scared of everything, and God forbid it be brown or look brown or like brown people. White people are fucking afraid of that.
They scared of tan. They scared of 10. I'm telling you.
But I mean, that's not to say that he's not
I know
going to
a
get.
lot of black people that are scared of everything too.
But
Though.
even
There's
still,
that too. There's that too.
Joel, that wouldn't be racism. That's
Fear.
Fear from classism or
Demonic
culturism,
fear.
if that's the way. They're
fear from
afraid of the
demonization.
culture that person represents, but they're not of a different race, so it wouldn't be racism.
Right. So, you know, when I talk about it and I look at from a standpoint of history and moving forward, is when you've always been in control and you don't have to see things in a certain way because it doesn't affect you at all, you could take it or leave it. That's the mindset of a lot of white people. You know, I'm going to leave it because I'm doing good over here. You know, they don't give a shit. They don't, for the most part. And so when you live it every day, unfortunately, people that look like me have been the casualties of that non-caring, non-wanting to understand. They don't even want to learn the shit. But here we are, 3 black men on the screen have been forced to learn this about their lives and how they live and what's good for them and how they prospered and, you know, so on and so forth. They don't know shit about black people. And that's where the fear comes in. So if I walk down the street and I'm the most non-intimidating looking person on earth, if you ask me, but I got folk clutching their purses and clutching their pearls and shit, you know? I don't want your shit.
Okay, so let me ask a question. I'm gonna give a quick scenario. With a company ABC, got workers. You got black supervisors, 3 black supervisors, 2 black managers, a black CEO. There's openings open for positions in upper management. White guy Bill over here, clearly qualified for the job, comes in on time, does his job, excels at everything that he does, and the black VP continuously selects other black people to fill those managerial positions and leaves Bill on the bottom of the toll pole. Is that an example of racism?
No.
Favoritism, possibly.
I'll say this. Even though that black supervisor has the power in that structure, in that company ABC, he has the power and the structure. Bill may be qualified, but now that supervisor or that manager is picking the person. It's not racism as much as it is maybe favoritism.
That's what I said. It could be favoritism.
Maybe he wants to keep that circle.
So when the role is reversed and
but now we're talking
all white people, and they pick 3 white people and put them in management positions over you, and you know that you're more qualified than all 3 of them. Do you just
that's racism? That's racism. Because and I'm saying it from a standpoint of what we know to be structural racism, systemic racism. If that were never a situation of systemic racism in this country, then I would say yes, that would be favoritism if white people did that. But history has shown us that that's not the case, because time and time again, I use it as I use the president as an analogy. You can't tell me Barack Obama was the first black person to be qualified to run this country. You just can't. To be in that position. And I know
it's interesting. You say even I'm glad I think we need to point out, and maybe this is a different conversation for another time since we're about to close, but there's a difference between systemic racism and racism. Systemic racism is what got all them white people in that management positions in the first place.
Right.
That's the system working on their behalf and getting them put in those positions, whether it be education, schooling, who you know, handshakes passed down, everything like that. But a lot of times I'm talking about the mindset of racism, that there's systemic racism where, and I understand what you guys are saying by that, but then there's just a element of having a racist mindset.
Right.
Wouldn't it matter the intention of the actual person?
Intention?
If they're doing favorism or if they're being racism?
You mean attention or intention?
Yeah, intention.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to point out, Joel. I'm like, without saying it, it clearly, like I said, this bill was clearly a better candidate than these three people, but he got overlooked over and over and over. When we see that happen to us, and we're like, y'all racist, y'all just like,
because we've seen it so many times. We've seen it so many times.
I agree. Of systemic racism.
I don't disagree. I'm saying I agree with that part, but when the roles reverse and then it's all black people in those positions of power and this, and this,
but the structure, 9 times out of 10, with the white boss being the supervisor, he got the position via the structure. The system put him there. The good old boy system has done this time and time again, where if a brother gets in, the brother got to be phenomenal. He's got to be absolutely phenomenal.
So whenever you're choosing a person that's not, when you overlook the most qualified person for someone that looks more like you, then what do you call that?
Equality at some point, you got to, because it would have never come up with affirmative action, and we still didn't benefit from that. I'm saying this from I'm looking at the big picture of how racism has worked and how it has failed, and it's hurt everybody, not just black people. So when white people allow these,
it's called something. It gotta be. It can't just. It gotta be. I had an instance to where it was.
I understand what you're saying. How could
it was a member of the LGBTQ, that was in their upper management, and they chose another person from their community over me, and it was this person couldn't shine much. They wasn't nowhere close as good as I am. Not on any level, they wasn't better.
Really,
just sales, relating to people. They didn't have the tenure as I did. They didn't. I mean, but what I'm saying is, you got to call it something.
I agree with you. I just
you
don't
call that white supremacy too, because that's where it all came from at the end of the day. And what I want to add to what you're saying, Stokely, is at the end of the day, Bill, not that he should have to, because he's a more qualified candidate, right? But Bill can go get a job any fucking where, because the system allows him to be able to be hireable anywhere. However, those 3 possible black candidates or the manager or whoever probably does not have the same opportunity to go apply anywhere with those same qualifications, let alone the same last fucking name, and be able to get picked up in a position. That's where systemic racism comes into play. I'm not saying that it should be okay for one and not okay for another. Am I saying I understand it? Yes, I do. But at the same time, that's what racism is. Bill can go get another motherfucking job. Bill can go apply at 50 different places and get hired at 50 different places. But Jerome or Tyrone probably cannot.
There's a reason that black men with master's degrees make 17% less than white men with master's degrees in the same field. There's a reason. 17%. That's almost 20% of someone's income. So there's a reason for that. And that's why if Bill cold at what he does, Bill can go somewhere else and get a job. But believe me, I understand your point. I'm looking at it from a standpoint of from a historical standpoint and a standpoint of how we got to this position. Because if shit was fair in the beginning,
power structure.
If shit was fair in the beginning, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Right.
But it's never been fair.
One of the things that I'm saying, even with Nikki, especially if you want to be a champion of change, if you don't change mindsets, then ultimately you haven't done anything. You got to change the mind. It has to start inside first.
Well, people have to want to first.
Yeah, I believe people have to want to listen, and it's up to me to gain their attention, but I think white people have to want to learn these things. And if they're not willing to want to learn anything about the black culture and how we got to this point, then you're just talking. Then I'm just talking.
Literally just talking. My dad always said, you can horse the water, but you can't make him drink.
I can sit down with 50 black people and have a conversation of how we got to this point. And every single one of us have a lifelike experience, and we can say that happened to me. So it's more tangible for a black person to sit there and listen to what's being said, whether the white person is shaking their head and looking at you like a German Shepherd.
Not my problem. Not in my backyard. It's not my problem.
I don't know what he's talking about. He says things aren't fair and things aren't equal.
If you go down the rabbit hole
poor
long
Bill don't give a
enough,
fuck
then
about
everything.
racism till poor Bill can't get a goddamn job. Poor Bill don't care about that till his black supervisor didn't give him a position. Now poor Bill want to be mad. Bill been getting fucking silver spoon treatment his whole life. And I'm not saying well because this has happened like white people we're just fucked. We got to take everything like, but goddamn it, sometimes it is what it is.
Damn, Nikki, you a warrior. I'm gonna give Nikki
I'm like, I'm so fucking sick of white fragility. White fragility.
Oh my God.
Like, it's such
It'll
a
wear you
toxic
out.
evil.
It'll wear you the fuck out.
Evil.
It is.
And
I said this
fragility.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna end mine. But I said this to a group of white men. I said there is absolutely no reason you should be out here panhandling. There's absolutely no reason you should be homeless. There's absolutely no reason. And I say this because you've had every opportunity to be successful.
Right.
And now people fall on hard times. I get it.
Right.
But you fell and hit the ground on your feet like a cat. And they were like, no, that's not true. You have somebody just by the way that you look that will give you a job.
Yeah.
They
can turn around as soon
as I can't even if I had hair, I couldn't even wear it in a big giant afro like I'd want to, because now they're gonna look at me, oh, he got his hair all blown out, and or I can't wear dreadlock. There's a reason why the Crown Act had to be passed. It's just insane. It's insane. So every opportunity that we get, we should mash the gas on that bitch. And that's just where I feel about it. So
number one,
it's not racist.
When we had the evaluation, we already told Nikki what her bias was. So number two.
I'm just saying, if you're not as mad as me, you white people are a part of the fucking problem. If you listen and you feel like a hit dog and holler, that's exactly who I'm talking to.
The black side of me agrees 100% with everything that y'all saying. The free thinker in me has questions. The free thinker in me is what was asking those questions. But that's all. Okay, 206. We good to go. Nikki, you got anything else you want to close out with?
No, I just appreciate the conversation. I appreciate you, Joel, for joining us. Welcome to the show for the first night. Stokely, thanks for always being here, of course. Anybody who watched us, we appreciate the support. Haley, we saw you in the comments. It's been like years, I think, since I've seen Haley pop up. So welcome back, lady. And then, I love this conversation, and this is what we do on Tuesday. Sometimes we have topics, sometimes we don't, but this is what we do. We want to continue to grow our family, want to continue to grow these conversations. Please join us. Come any Tuesday, come some Tuesday, come every once in a blue moon Tuesdays, but definitely keep coming back on Tuesdays and have these conversations with us. If you've got topic ideas or things that you want to see us talk about, just please give us the information and we're happy to try to talk about anything. We don't always have to agree on everything. And if we do this right, we won't all agree on everything. But I like to believe that we all take something away from each of these conversations. So, and want to continue doing so. So share the channel and tell people about us and come on Tuesday and support the other people who are part of the podcast family. We have a lot of people on our Facebook page who share their own personal businesses and podcasts and products. And, this is, if you're going to spend the money, then spend the money with the people that you know. If you're going to spend the money, then spend the money with mom and pops who are trying to do something different and be a part of the change. And there's a lot of us out there. So Free Thinkers on Facebook, and then our YouTube channel is Free Thinkers Worldwide. Anything you guys want to add at all? Anything we need to know about?
Oh, I appreciate it. I like this conversation. It's pretty good. It's pretty dope. So I appreciate it.
Good having you on, Joe.
Happy you came. Happy you came.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Oh, nice meeting you guys as well, man.
Follow his page. He didn't drop it, but follow his page. He's got some music out there.
Definitely check it out.
Cool.
All right, we'll see y'all next Tuesday.